What is up? It is J-Dub stepping here to apologize for shamming. I wanted to put this video out about a month ago. Just never got around to it because life happens. Anyway, so me and my boy Sean want to put together this video for you guys about tactical approaches to PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. Both of us have a combined 25 years in the Army, and you know, being deployed and being out in the field grinding and stuff, we got a little experience with some of this stuff. Unfortunately, we don't always apply it to the video game, but hey, down on paper, it makes total sense. So go ahead and check it out, and hope you enjoy. So the first thing I want to touch base with is don't chase kills. For a lot of you new players out there, you know, it's easy to try to get in fights and try to win and get really good really fast or whatever, but something that I found is that if you prioritize the winning over the kills will come, especially when you're down to like the last 10. Once you make top 10, you can easily get anywhere from 6 to 8 kills making the top 10. So yeah, don't chase the kills. They'll come, man. The opportunities will be there. Try to analyze the terrain, the distance, the enemy movements. Be wary of overextending, especially if you're on a team. This can be less effective fire for your team because you guys aren't able to concentrate your fire on a specific person or area. Of course, by doing so, you can disadvantage the team, especially if you run into a full squad. This could result in you being knocked or dead, and this will definitely degrade the effectiveness of your unit. Keep in mind that positioning is everything in this game. If you're engaging the enemy, do not allow yourself to be caught in the open, especially for the sake of killing someone. If you cannot kill someone from a position, was the engagement worth pursuing? That's a question. Don't think in engagements in terms of trading kills. If you can't bring overwhelming force to bear upon the enemy, or if you can't make use of an overwhelming advantage, do not engage until you can. One player shooting one spotted enemy does not give you intel. If you are out of position and alone, the one spotted enemy is in fact not alone. You are now dead, and you have lost the initiative as well as your teammates. Cover and concealment. Remember that cover stops bullet and concealment merely blocks the line of sight. So try to engage enemies when you have cover. Have a good idea of a place to maneuver if you fail to lose the initiative while engaging the enemy. And remember, it is always better to maneuver and regain advantage than to try and tough it out. So number 2, we're not shooting targets that we can't kill, knock, or severely disadvantage. This includes pinning the targets in the blue and effectively using team focus fire on single targets, and analyzing visuals for future reference instead of engaging. Going back to not chasing kills, it is important to realize what your advantages are and aren't. Do you have cover or at least concealment? Do you and your teammates share an effective means of communicating direction and distance to targets? Does your position allow for you to bring all of your guns to bear on the enemy in a timely manner? Try to quickly and accurately analyze your posture and the enemy posture, and this could yield a decisive outcome in your favor. If you follow these basic guidelines and principles, you can maximize your advantage and minimize the enemies. Number 3, prioritize the safe zones ahead of confrontations. Just avoid playing chicken. You know, when maneuvering in the game, be aware of your position relative to almost everything. With the exception of RNG failing you in the final circles, you don't want to be the team running into Rozhawk with a deadly circle at your back and an open field with you and some effective cover. So yeah, enough said there. Number 4, avoid engagements from open vantages. Once again, prioritize the cover, then the concealment, and designate sectors of fire and follow them. When moving, make your movement priority. When someone starts taking shots at you, would you stop in the open and get canoed? Or maintain the initiative and continue maneuvering to cover so that you can deliver an accurate response? If you have a 4-man team, allow the left and right players to focus their respective directions as well as glances to the front. Whoever is bringing up the rear needs to do command control and be the most thoughtful, looking for advantages, good terrain, and such. Any of these roles could be interchangeable to avoid losing the initiative. When the right man sees a target moving, he becomes the point, and the rear transitions to a forward gun, and then the left becomes the command control analysis. The faster you adapt to being able to change rules, the faster you will be engaging the enemy. Number 5 is definitely my favorite. It is avoiding tunneling. Avoid tunneling while driving long distances, running long distances, engaging targets, or even while waiting on the blue to close and reveal the next safe zone. Always maintain situational awareness. This game rewards hypervigilance and punishes complacency. Number 6, communication. Effectively call out targets, direction, distance, even referencing landmarks. Keep in mind, if separated from your teammates, your azimuth will be skewed. Try to orient yourself toward your teammate and give an estimate as to the direction from him or her. Avoid overcommunication. When relatively close to one another, less than 20 meters or so, use the compass to call out directions to targets. Use your map and know-how of objects and distances to help you estimate the distance. If you are unable to see those effectively, use your target reference points, but be specific. Use directions. Don't simply say 2-story. In other descriptive words, say 2-story west of my building. Hell, even give a color or a makeup of the building. Brick, stucco, stone, something. Number 7, always have a plan. A good plan is better than a bad plan. A bad plan is better than no plan. Your planning execution should be based off of risk assessments of the current situation, past lessons learned, and anticipated future situations. So imagine you're on the edge of Pollyanna and the blue is going to push you out and across an open field. Not only did you see enemy movement to the northwest of the city, but you heard gunfire from the cafe area. Your risk assessments are going to be based off the current situation to include the strength of the enemy forces, actions of the enemy, location and terrain of the enemy, and equipment of the enemy. Strength is going to be the size of that element, actions, what they are doing, location and terrain being the bearing distance and approximate landmark. Equipment being types of weapons, vehicles, and even down to the armor. Given the previous example, you note that you hear shots with an SKS and a Kar 98K. At this point, it is safe to assume that your enemy has long-range optics and may outgun your squad. Depending on the distance needed to make the safe zone and current loadout of your squad, you may opt to move out around engagement so as to prioritize survival. This being said, you could set up on the edges safe and anticipate where the surviving enemy force may enter to capitalize on their complacency and or current health. Another alternative may be to set up an ambush right outside the city as they try to escape. Both of these plans are viable, but depending on your time, strength of force, current weapon capabilities, and available terrain in the city, you may favor one course of action over another. Number 8, exploit the initiative. In the beginning stages of the game, try to pinpoint isolated teammates from enemy squads. This is super effective in the early game as you're less likely to face an enemy assault from different angles. In turn, this weakens the combat effectiveness of the other team. Capitalizing on bad parachuters should be something your squad incorporates into their gameplay. Keep in mind that everyone needs to be aware and on the same page. No quicker than you seek to destroy an isolated enemy, you can become one yourself. Learn how to effectively flank the enemy. At times, it's just not enough to run around a corner while your teammate covers the door. Correct flanking maneuvers involve falling directly back at a given distance. Once a safe distance is reached, the maneuver team turns and runs to the left or right of the enemy squad. This team then rushes until they've reached the parallel objective. Coordinating fire is then executed on the exposed flank of the unsuspecting squad. If done correctly, you should have fallen back far enough not to be seen, and far enough from the enemy's flank so as not to be heard. This is probably one of the most effective ways to win gun battles in this game. Ultimately, this is my personal bread and butter. When at all possible, execute the element of surprise. Surprise enemies tend to panic when suddenly confronted. Targets under normal duress will make well-informed decisions and have time to communicate with their teammates. Targets being ambushed will often make terrible judgment calls trying to react to the direction of the contact. The enemy squad will make rush decisions trying to rescue their teammate. Try to sacrifice those long-range shots by getting into better positions to ambush unaware targets. So last but not least, remember to have fun. the ultimate goal here is to have fun. Winning is the more fun than not winning, but with the losses you can always find a silver lining. Maybe you had some insane 180 no scope falling down 2 stories. Maybe you had a high amount of kills. Maybe you had some of those funny moments that you could put on the internet and share with other gamers. The brief amount of time you spend in front of your keyboard should reward you with something to look forward to later. At all times, try to maintain a positive attitude. Hell, I'm even guilty of that one. Despite the fact that you may mess up, that your teammates may mess up, that your internet is crap, that your cat wants to sit on your lap, or that your shots aren't registering, attitudes are contagious. If your negativity shifts from you to your teammates, you can mess up the entire mojo for that game. Playing with someone that always has a bad attitude is a recipe for bad success, and nobody wants to play with that guy. Finally, just remind yourself it's a game. You're dead in the game, but you're still alive. I mean, there's always tomorrow, and as long as you can learn from your mistakes, you'll be better prepared to take on whatever comes next. So, thanks for watching the video. If you want to comment, go ahead. If you like it, dislike it, dislike it. But if you dislike it, tell me what I could do to make it better. And until I make another video, peace.